have to read this story. If I don't read this story, someone is going to die. So here it goes. Paul Blart Mall Cop rescues Shrek 5, Chapter 1. Our story begins on a dark autumn night. "Oh boy," says Paul Blart to himself as he drived his Segway into the mall that he ended up working at after the second movie ends. It was a dingy mall in the inner city. Lots of thugs with no respect for real police, let alone the mall police. So anyway, he eventually get to the mall and park. There was teens smoking cigarettes outside. And Blart didn't even care and kept on walking while shaking his head and says, "Ain't even worth it. Sometimes I wonder how many lives become like this." You see, after the second movie, he got in a horrible car accident, so he was not a badass anymore. And him and his wife end up having problems in the bedrooms after, and he gained even more weight than he already had. But his wife got way too hot for him and had a baby who is now 5 years old. Basically, his life effing sucks. He goes to his office quietly as he clocks his time card. His supervisor smirks. "Hey Blart, you effing pussy. This effing mall needs a makeover." A gang leader named Big K is in the hot topic. But I am not gonna confront him, so I'm gonna send you in there to get your ass beat by him. Ha ha ha, said the boss to Paul Blart. "Just another day in the office, right?" Paul Blart says smugly. "Guess it's time to get my ass kicked by a gang leader again. I really wish the state that I am in had a stand your ground law, so I could George Zimmerman this effing criminal." And off he goes to hot topic. The smell of weed was pervasive, and smoke was coming out of hot topic, and a gang lieutenant had spray paint Big K turf on the door. Paul Blart heart picks up pace as he runs in. "All right, you mother effers, drop your weapons, 'cause I'm escorting Big K out of here and banning him from the mall for a while." Only he doesn't even see a gang leader. He just sees Kevin Hart with a bottle of cognac and a pistol. Paul Blart turns red in the face. "Hey man, I'm sorry, I thought you were a gang lord named Big K. Can I get an autograph?" Kevin Hart smiles and is like, Yeah, no problem, and punches him in the effing forehead with brass knuckles that say Big K and leave an imprint on his face. He then unloads a furious beating, and Paul Blart is helpless to stop him. As he is beating him, a Polaroid photograph falls out of Kevin Hart's pocket. It sends Paul Blart's heart to the floor. What in the F's going on here, Kevin Hart? Where did you get that photo? Says Paul. The photo turned out to be one of Paul Blart's wife, naked, being penetrated by Kevin Hart, where like he turned his head and is giving a thumbs up and smiling in the foreground in a selfie while he is cuckolding Paul Blart. What you mean, bitch? That's me and my girl. She is the bomb best piece of pussy I've ever dipped my big old hog into for a swim, and I love her. We have unprotected sex every night, and I'm buying your son some Shrek merchandise because it's his birthday tomorrow, and Shrek is his favorite movie. Suddenly, it all becomes clear. His. Really? This is really bad. Suddenly, it all becomes clear. His son was turned out to not be his and was actually black. Paul Blart suspected this. After all, but luckily Blart's name was on the birth certificate, so it was okay, and he'd get to keep his black son. Paul Blart boiled with rage, but quickly simmered down and kept his cool. Also, he had HPV, and his wife claimed it was from a toilet seat at Sears. He couldn't reveal that this gang lord and movie star was cuckolding him. He had to play his cards right to keep things right with his son, so he just staggers away bloodily in pain. You see, Paul Blart checks MSN Movies and Fandango on a semi-regular basis and already bought 3 tickets to see Shrek 5 in theaters the day after his birthday. Opening night was tomorrow, and on his son's birthday. On top of this, he had managed to confiscate a large box of Shrek 2 themed party favors for his son's birthday party and a Blu-ray of Shrek 4, and he put the tickets in his birthday in a birthday card. After work, while his son was asleep, he set all that stuff up to surprise him. But he also picked up an NWA CD on his way home because, as he just found out, his son was African American and he wanted him to embrace his heritage. As Paul Blart comes home, and this is all one sentence, and lifelessly looks into his wife's eyes and sees the wreck that their marriage has become. The knowledge that his son is going to have the best birthday ever is pretty much like all that's keeping him going. Okay, end of sentence. His wife's like, Paul, I never Seen you look at me like that. What's up? Paul Blart sighs. Yeah, well, here's looking at you, kid, he responds, and he rolls over away from her and lets out a giant fart and a laugh. Jesus effing Christ, Paul Blart, you are such a disgusting man. And Paul turns around and says goodnight and blows her a kiss. For the first time since the second movie, Paul Blart is driven and ready to F shit up and have a good time at his son's birthday party. Paul Blart was in the kitchen with all the Shrek 2 party favors, and all the neighbor kids were there to surprise him. All the pizzas had onions on them and shit. As his son crawls out of bed and heads to the kitchen, everybody's like, surprise! And Paul Blart is the happiest he has ever was since the second movie. But suddenly, his son squints his eyes and is like, what in the F is shit? Paul Blart is taken aback and, oh, what is all this shit? Paul Blart is taken aback and he starts shaking his head. No, really hard. Like, what have I done? What did I do wrong? And his son's like, Dad, do you even effing know me? My favorite Shrek movie is Shrek the Third, and all you got was Shrek 2 shit. What? Was it because you're poor as all F and not even a real cop? 'Cause as far as I'm concerned, after this shit, I don't even know if I can call you a real dad. You don't even know what my favorite Shrek movie is for F's sakes. And his kid walks in closer, boiling with rage, and peers at the birthday cake. A driplet of sweat is going down Paul Blart's forehead, and his eyes well up with tears. He spent $75 for a Shrek 2 themed party. $75 for a Shrek 2 themed birthday cake, and his son was looking at it in pure rage. The worst part was, it wasn't even the $75 he spent on it, but the fact that maybe he hadn't been a good dad because he honestly had no idea what his son's favorite Shrek movie was. This whole thing happened in like 30 seconds, but deep within the folds of Paul Blart's brain, this incident was like probably 4 days of hell. A hell that crept into his life shortly after the second movie to now. The emotional pain of this was a lot for Paul, but the physical pain was on its way. His son spits right on the cake and turns to his dad. Where the F are the gifts at you better have got me something good to make up for this shit? Paul Blart stammers, and for a second, he sees flashes of the rage he saw in Kevin Hart at the mall the day before in his own son. They're over on the counter, he answers. Heh, not bad, old man, but you earned this fair and square. And his son, starts beating the shit out of him hard. And all All his friends and even his wife joins in. Then his son opens the gifts. He is pretty pumped to have the merchandise and stuff that Paul Blart got, but he was still angry as F. Finally, he opens up the card and is like, there better be money in here, you effing cheapskate. But when he opens the card and the tickets fall out, he is blown the F away. Wait, what in the F is this? A new Shrek movie is coming out on my birthday, and I'm going to get to see it at 7 p.m. tonight. This is so effing sweet. I'm sorry for kicking. I'm sorry for kicking your ass and spitting on the cake and having my friends humiliate you and for saying you were a bad dad, Paul Blart. You are a kick-ass dad. Let's go effing see this movie in I'm effing jacked. Okay. And right after Paul Blart smiles and says, F yeah, in your effing face, you rotten whore, to his wife and gives her the bird and rips her ticket up and throws them in the toilet and flushes them down, never to buy his wife anything ever again. His wife screams and tries to dig the little pieces of the ticket from the toilet, but she only gets like one piece and it's not intact enough for her to get in, so she basically effed and can't go see Shrek 5. Hang in there. You know what, Paul Blart? We're getting a divorce. At this point, Paul Blart already has his son on his shoulders and is on the Segway. No problem, babe. There's one more for the road. I'll see you in court. And he blasts a fart straight into her face, and it smells horrible from all the onions and pizza. And also, he's lactose and intolerant now, so he has horrible gas when he eats cheesy pizza, and that was his plan. His son high-fives him, nods approvingly. Ha ha ha, F you, Mom, my dad effing rules. Okay, and you effing drool, I'm gonna live with him after the divorce. With a single tear in her eye, she is like, yeah, you think your dad is so great? Well, I got news for you. Paul Blart freaks out for a second because he's like not ready to have that talk with his son. So he peels out of there to that Smash Mouth song. That chorus is like, you might as well be walking on the sun, before she can realize his son's true father. Award-winning comedian and actor and drug lord czar Kevin Hart. When Paul Blart is zooming away down the highway with his son on his shoulder on his Segway, he realizes he doesn't have a car in the world. A car in the world, I guess. I don't know if anybody's still watching. I guess I'll finish it. Doesn't have a care in the world. He lost his wife. He lost everything. But he remembered to get Shrek 5 tickets to surprise his son on his birthday. So he still got his son back. Shrek 5, Shrek 5, Shrek 5. He and his son chanted as he weaved between trucks and cars on the highway all the way to the theater. Everything seemed too good to be true. Unfortunately for our hero, Paul Blart, it was. If you think this was good, check out my Tumblr. It's fire. Okay. All right. I read your story. It's on the internet, so now you have to let them go. You have to let your hostages go, okay? All right. This has been Paul Blart Saves Shrek, I think is the name of the story. Part 1, Chapter 1. Until I see all of you again, please have a most blessed day, and God bless you. God bless you all. Bye-bye.